You've probably heard a lot about the European Union's landmark AI Act. It's a huge deal, setting the global standard for how we regulate artificial intelligence. But what if I told you that one of its most powerful tools isn't about some sci-fi scenario? Instead, it's a quiet, procedural rule that's absolutely critical to making the whole system work. Let's dig into how it works. I want you to imagine something. A company launches a brand new AI tool. They say it's completely harmless, just a simple little program. But what if that isn't the full story? What if, under the hood, that same AI is making huge decisions that affect your life, your rights, and even your safety?
So, for example, a developer might sell their system as just a helpful resume sorter. Why? Because that label lets them avoid a whole bunch of strict safety regulations. But in the real world, companies are using that same system to make the final call on who gets a job. And that is a classic high-risk situation. This is precisely the kind of problem the AI Act was built to solve. To really get how the Act does this, we're going to walk through 5 key areas. We'll kick things off with the hidden risk of misclassifying AI. Then we'll meet the EU's digital inspectors. After that, we'll see how an investigation actually unfolds, learn the crucial difference between a simple mistake and actual malice, and finally, we'll talk about why this one rule is so important for all of us. Okay, first up, the hidden risk. You see, the danger isn't always about what an AI can do, but how it's described. That simple label can mean the difference between a system that's properly regulated and a hidden danger that's out there on the market. Now, here's the crucial part. Under the AI Act, providers actually get to do a self-assessment. They can literally declare their own AI system as non-high risk. And if they do that, they get to sidestep the toughest rules. We're talking rigorous safety checks, transparency reports, and mandatory human oversight. It's a potential loophole, and a pretty big one at that. Which, of course, brings us to the solution. The AI Act has built-in enforcers. You could call them digital inspectors, and they're designed specifically to find and fix this exact problem. Their number one tool is Article 80. The best way to think about it is like a legal search warrant for AI. It gives authorities the power to investigate a system if they have a good reason to believe it was mislabeled and is actually high risk. So who are these digital inspectors? They're called the Market Surveillance Authority, or MSA for short. Each and every country in the EU has one. Their whole job is to be the watchdog on the ground, monitoring what's being sold and making sure AI providers are actually playing by the rules. An Article 80 investigation doesn't just happen out of the blue. It all starts when an MSA has what the law calls sufficient reason to be suspicious. And what's really interesting here is that this reason can come from pretty much anywhere. It could be a complaint from a user, a report from a whistleblower, or even the MSA's own team spotting something that just doesn't look right. So once that trigger is pulled, a formal investigation officially begins. This is where the inspectors really roll up their sleeves and get down to business. The whole process follows 4 really clear steps. First, there's the trigger we just talked about. Second, the MSA does a deep dive evaluation, checking the AI's real function against the official high-risk criteria written in the law. Third, they deliver a verdict. And if they find the system is high risk, they move to the 4th and final step, ordering the provider to take corrective action and get that AI into full compliance. And these inspectors have some real authority. During an evaluation, they can demand to see all the AI's technical documentation, they can run their own independent tests, and they can scrutinize every single detail of the provider's original risk assessment. And if things get serious, as a last resort, they can even get access to the system's source code. Okay, this next part is a really important legal distinction. The AI Act is smart. It recognizes that there is a world of difference between someone making an honest mistake and someone deliberately trying to cheat the system. This table lays it out perfectly. On one hand, you have simple non-compliance. That's objective. It's just about failing to fix a problem after you've been notified. But then you have intentional circumvention. This is subjective. The authorities have to prove the provider knew what they were doing and misclassified their AI on purpose to dodge the rules. The burden of proof is much higher, but so are the penalties. So, if a provider made a genuine error in their assessment, the process is all about correction. The goal isn't to punish them. It's to get the system into compliance and make it safe for everyone. The provider gets a deadline, and they have to fix the problems. But if that investigation proves the provider acted in bad faith, that they intentionally tried to game the system, well, the consequences are severe.
this triggers some of the heaviest fines in the entire AI Act, and it sends a very clear message. Deception will not be tolerated.
So let's zoom out. Why does this one, kind of technical, rule matter so much? Because its impact goes way beyond just one company or one AI system. It's about the bigger picture.
You see, Article 80 is basically the cornerstone of the entire Act. It's the enforcement power that protects our fundamental rights from risky, unregulated AI. It ensures fair competition, making sure honest companies aren't at a disadvantage. It helps build an AI ecosystem that we can actually trust. And it's setting a potential global standard for how to hold AI developers accountable. That idea of fair competition is absolutely critical. By having a harmonized rule like Article 80 to cross the entire EU, the Act prevents something called forum shopping. That's when a company tries to set up in a country with weaker enforcement to get an unfair advantage. Article 80 says no. There's one set of rules for everyone, everywhere in the market. Ultimately, Article 80 brings us right back to the central question of our time. It represents a very specific, very carefully designed answer to this huge challenge. It's a system of checks and balances that isn't meant to kill innovation, but to guide it in a direction that is safe, that is fair, and that is trustworthy for all of us.